Where's that wind come from? I had a talk to a client, and I have said that I'm going to start doing some videos based on different things, and that is connected to environments around children, also indigo children for this video. I'm also going to be doing videos on working with your psychic gift and anything else I think that's directly going to be relevant for people tuning into situations and what they're going through. Now, for those of you who are twins and are working with your children, I feel that these videos are going to be relevant information for what you're going to be dealing with at an emotional level, both through yourself, hello, and through you actually understanding your childhood as well. So when I'm talking about these things, it depends on what comes through and from memory, what I can remember from my childhood. But these things are going to be sort of relevant to maybe what your child is going through, what you went through from childhood, and, you know, you understanding an element of your physical gift that you would have, because we all have an aspect of a psychic gift. And for us to understand ourselves, we can then understand our children, and hopefully we can then, you know, help the energy kind of move through. Because as twins, that's very much what our process and role is. Hello, Elizabeth. Welcome. So for those of you who are twins and have children, or at your childhood, for you to understand, some of you may have been experiencing at childhood very broken sleep, very unsettled sleep, where almost like you were having night terrors. Hello, Christina. How are you? Okay, so these night terrors are directly linked to a fact that you may have had a very unsettled childhood. You may have needed to gauge with one or another parent or a current environment. Sort of you had to tune into it. That's what I'm trying to say. So because of the way a family member or families were, intuitively speaking, you needed to, hello Luciana, you needed to come to a place, twins, where you sensed and gauged situations that were going on in your environment. Now this actually fine-tuned you, but it actually opened up your third eye, and it made you a bit like a sponge. So when you're a child, you're unaware that you actually have a gift. Also, you will start experiencing as a child, or as an indigo twin, that you would have been experiencing these things in some shape or form, more or less, depending on, you know, how developed the situation was. So it might have been you had been experiencing night terrors. You had to really be environmentally aware, connected to people and what they were feeling. You had to preempt it and pre-gauge it prior to something transpiring. And this is being an empath. It's really connecting into an environment and being super conscious about a situation. So that actually opens up your gift to a different level. Very much for myself, when I was a child, I very much had a sixth sense connected to this situation, very attracted to different areas and different things that other children were attracted to. Depending on your given situation as a twin, you might have been sort of, not so much, wouldn't even be that you directly have to fit into this criteria, but that you were quite distant to a group as such. So the way you would have dealt with yourself was you were the type of person that was in your mind quite a bit, really thinking and processing situations. So when you're around large energies, at times as an indigo, you would find it was too energetic, or there would be dramas or conflicts that would be absorbed towards you. Now, your children, also twins, you'll find, will very much mirror your path. So depending on whether the child is a male or a female, try and directly relate to the masculine and the feminine energy, because your children will directly mirror you in that given, you know, kind of process. So it's especially when you're doing a lot of purging, you're going to find it's very difficult, because your children are going to directly be mirroring you. Now, this is positive, so please don't take it as a negative. but very much try and take the information on board to be self-aware, connected to how your children are going to be during your purging and your transition, should you have children. Now, if you're not, this video will still help you connected to you as a twin and what perhaps your road has been from where you were to where you are now. Now, it may be that when they're having night terrors, did you? Well, that's interesting you say that, Jen, because lots from the last twin flame video, lots of information has been downloaded to me, so it's almost like I've been guided to do these videos and I'm trying to get the information in correctly. Now, you may have experienced night terrors. This also, for children or you as a child, may have been linked to the way your bedroom was positioned. So with the bedroom, our psychic portal is directly through our feet. So in positioning your bed within the bedroom, if this is your room, if there's an open window, your feet should not be facing out the window, out an open door or towards a mirror. Very much when your child is experiencing energetic poor sleep, you need to be very careful about having mirrors in the bedroom. You definitely do need to cleanse the bedroom in a sense to energetically ground it. Also, you need to come to a place where you realize that that will affect their sleep patterns. Now, beds are super energetic as well. So for many of you at childhood, if you had a bed that had a hollow underneath it, energetically this is not so great. You know, and obviously from the 3D of what we've seen in society, movies, etc., you know, we're scared of the boogeyman under the bed. Energies do kind of stay under that. And again, it is a manifestation situation where we actually manifest some of these energies where, you know, it's mind over matter. But when you're a child, energetically, you don't have the notion connected to what you're physically doing. So these situations can co-create in bedroom. You do need to keep the bedroom cleansed. You do need it white lighted to a point where energetically you can sleep correctly. Now, this is for twins or indigo children. If, again, you are a twin and you actually do have a child or children, this video is going to help you actually work with your children. Now, if you don't, this will be something that can help you in the future with your children. Now, they may describe night terrors to you. Now, you need to be very open with your children connected to what they're expressing, and please don't shun it connected to what you're seeing isn't real. You need to semi-empower your children to a point where you're saying, take your power back and tell them to go. And then show them that you're cleansing the room. Show them that you're giving them protective crystals. Do what you think is energetically correct so that they can feel, in a sense, they have a sense of power and they have a sense of safety. And as they own that energy, they're then protected. With the things they're describing they're seeing, please research it because that's really going to be a benefit to you as their parent, as well as what they're experiencing during that situation. Because when you're awakening, you know, you're coming into this world and you're changing, the ones that are very old souls will directly receive energy very heavily. And, you know, if they don't have that support network there, or the understanding of what's happening, it is a very challenging energy to go through as a child moving into that. So some of the things I know physically I would see as a child were the walkers or the shadow people. And you can definitely Google that and have a bit of insight into what is actually shown in the video. Now, very much it's almost like a dark energy traveling up the wall, up and over. And definitely speaking, the more the child develops or the more you physically develop, you will sense energies within the room. And this can be sometimes at 3 o'clock in the morning, my direct experience was. So you would be physically going to sleep and it's almost like a switch has kind of lit up in your mind and you're thinking they're here again. Very much it is very important for your children or you as a twin to get adequate sleep. Also to be able to cleanse yourself and drink, you know, an adequate amount of water to detox, you know, your soul and yourself. Now, sleep is directly linked to these sort of psychic attacks, so to speak. But energetically, when you're aware these energies are around and your bedroom isn't positioned in the correct manner, what you're doing is you're opening a portal where energetically you can be attacked, and this will disrupt child's sleep. Now, this can be masculine or feminine child, but definitely as you're doing the process, this would have been earlier on in the piece for twins as such, as well as children in general, indigo children. What else do I need to tell you? Let me think on it. Situations also would have come about where they're feeling very agitated and angry. So some of the way either you were physically as a twin, you know, children will be displaying certain energies. You need to pick up on it and fine tune it. And what I'm going to start doing is energies connected to twin children. Now, I'm not talking about twins. I'm talking directly of you as a twin, your biological children, or indigo children in general. Now, I'm going to do the male energy of a reading and the female energy of a reading. And you will notice some of the energies will directly mirror you as twins. So this can be anything connected to the way the feminine is handling their energy and the way the masculine is handling theirs. Now, with your children, when you're directly working on moving down your soul path into your twin flame journey, what you're going to find is energetically, if you do have children on that journey and you're moving towards a twin, energetically it may become challenging. Now, these energies of how to understand and how to directly work with them, the way to tap into it is understand if you have a male or a female child, how they're mirroring what you're physically going through. And it will be quite challenging to maintain your energy and kind of keep yourself grounded in order to support and help your child move forward. Now, with this transition, what you find is, directly speaking, you physically may feel guilty connected to their positioning in the road and how they are adjusting to the transition as such. Now, from what I've been shown, this is positive. It's not negative, although during the time you directly feel it to be negative, and there is guilt connected to it, and purging does come through from that level. And again, this may have happened in your parents' life, but they would have been unaware. So the transition of where you as twins have spiritually come to in your twin flame journey, some link would have been directly connected to your parents of some sort of transition connected to what you're physically going through. And it's kind of hard because I'm trying to put it in such a broad term that, you know, to directly link it back to indigos. What else am I needing to tell you? Now, energetically speaking, for those of you who are further down in the journey and have children, and it might be children in general, that you're energetically directly working with, and I do have many twins that I work with that physically do have children. Some of this is going to be for you, and then I'll bounce back and I'll talk about the aspect of being indigo. The way you look at things as an indigo is going to be very different. At times it's going to be very challenging, you know, mentally, physically, emotionally. Now, as you become self-aware connected to that, and if you can support your children connected to that when and if you have children, what you're going to find is, spiritually speaking, they will be able to handle the gifts that are handed down to them. Now, it is almost like a DNA kind of hand-me-down situation where they do have an aspect, all of us, of a psychic gift. So understanding how to use that is going to be very important. Now, I was sort of cursed and blessed at the same time, because I knew from a very young age, directly speaking, that I was in tune. How, I didn't know. I just sensed things and felt things, and that's where it started. And it was from home, environment, me as a soul, being an old soul, actually sensing these things. But obviously in my generation, and probably the generation before me, it was very taboo, so it wasn't spoken of. But very much I was having premonitions from a very young age, but not understanding that they actually were premonitions. And these can be vivid dreams, and more so repeating dreams, and definitely speaking, you know, you as twins would have been experiencing these things, but you become more self-aware as you become older. So if you can help children as such actually understand the pattern, should you have children, this will help them through that process a lot easier. On top of that, you'll find you'll know the different things that happen, and I definitely suggest use Google as a tool and YouTube. And that's so when you're having a synchronicity or something different happen to you that you're finding odd or out of the ordinary, you either reach out so that someone at a spiritual level can help you, or you physically do the research to understand yourself. Now that will help you actually spiritually grow and awaken through that process, and it will help with your third eye as well. Now, a lot of people will have direct different gifts. You will come to a place where you'll be an empath. You will then come to a place where you might hear things. You may be able to astro travel. And for me, I don't know why. I physically, when I was younger, thought that was meaning, you know, I'm literally going to be like Astro Boy, get up and fly. For me, I do it differently. And it is very, very much when I tune into a physical person, it's like once the door is open, it can be through a question or something that I've picked up on, and the confirmation has come about, the door's open. And then from there, it's like I can actually, even if I'm just talking to you on the telephone or, you know, speaking to you on Skype, even if I can't see you, I'm directly where you physically are. And so I can actually move between portals. So it's almost like I can move backwards, and then I can forward move to a time you're asking about and what I'm visually seeing for future, and then to a past tense situation of something that happened, making reference to conversation, location, something that I'm needing to relay to you. But the door definitely needs to physically be open. Now, very much when you're dealing with your aspect of tuning in, what you need to understand is it's not meant to make sense to you. And this was very much taught to me probably when I was in my 20s. I had a dear friend called Amber, who is a psychic reader, and she's in Australia. And she said to me, what are you doing? She told me off, and she asked me to basically go around the room and tune into what I was sensing. And sometimes it can be very trivial, and it does directly work better on a person you physically don't know, to actually work on that energy. Where you pick something, it can be a feeling, an emotion, a sense. Pick that again is a door that you've opened, and then bounce around and then go back again, and then, you know, have another question asked where you're tuning into that. It can be, how are they feeling? And then tune into that. It then can be, what are they thinking? Tune into that, you know, and try and work on that to open sort of the door to go that one step further. Naturally, it will be a situation where it changes. Now, although I knew from a young age that environmentally I was very much sensing things at a level, not knowing that was me being an empath, there were other elements that were coming through as well, which was projection and seeing things in the future, but again, not knowing. There also was a secondary stage where I stumbled across where I started reading cups, and I didn't know how to read cups, although what I was feeling was a bit like the tarot cards. I don't read cards traditionally. It's directly connected into, you know, and for a while I thought, yes, I must be on the 3D politically correct, read them correctly. Yes, I have picked up on elements of the meanings and situations, but directly speaking, I could pick one card up, and every time I pick that same card up, a different message will come through. You know, and as an indigo, this is what you will have. You will have vibrations, you'll have signals, you'll see signs. The more in tune with self you become, the more aware you are at the level of what is physically going on. Almost to the point where you're in a physical storybook, that you look at life very differently and receive information very differently. What was the other thing I wanted to tell you? So from childhood, when I was younger, and it kind of will switch on and off with the indigo children. You may or may not, but many will, depending on how advanced, you know, and how open you are to this situation. For me, it wasn't a choice. So, you know, when I was a child, I would see things, and they were quite frightening, and I would shut it down, and I was very afraid in the energy within the room. And the room wasn't positioned in an incorrect manner. It was positioned correctly, but it wasn't cleansed as per se. So because I was psychic, what was happening was energies outside of the home would tag onto me, and I would actually bring them home with me. And when an energy or a spirit that's passed over physically knows that you can see, you're in trouble. So you do need to be protected, be it with crystals, be it with energetically being quite strong to say go. If you're not feeling that you can energetically do what you need to do. I would literally have passed over people standing around my bed. So the best way I can describe my childhood was The Sixth Sense, the movie. And very much in the part of the movie where this young girl, I think it was a young girl, she was coming to him, and I think she was vomiting. You know, she was really getting to a point where she was visually showing him a cue connected to what was going on with her at the point of passing. And she was, so sometimes to decipher what's going on when the information is coming to you as a child can be very confusing. So you do need to protect the indigos so that energetically they can grow spiritually to be able to handle the information and the spirits that may come to them. Now, for me, I realized very quickly that there was no chance that I would have peace. So I had to develop the gift, and it was for my safety and protection. You know, depending on the energies and how your gift does change as an indigo. So for myself, there was a point where this child had come to my bedside, and I knew at the time who the child was, and I had to follow the leads. I didn't know who directly the child was. I knew the age, and you'll pick information relevant to what's coming through. So I knew the age. I knew the child was very angry. Now, when I awoke, and indigos will experience this as well, you'll wake up, and again, it can be at a particular time. For me, it was always 3. I don't know why. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. And the energy within the room will be different. It will feel like you have paused the button in your room, and it's very cold. The temperature's different. The air around you is blue in colour, and it's like literally there is a blue hue in the room. Your breath is like ice, and the button is paused. Everything within that room is like it's frozen, but the energy who is near you and the one that wants to communicate with you. Now, this energy initially didn't know, it was a passed over person, did not know that I could see. Now, it was literally over the bed, looking down, standing, and then when I opened my eyes and I turned and I saw this passed over person, it looked up and acknowledged the fact that I could see it, and the anger in the eyes and the connection soul to soul was, you can see me, you need to help me. And it's directly connected to, you now are the chosen messenger to send that information through, because they physically have unfinished business. Now, this spirit did stay by my bedside every night till I dealt with that issue. So energetically, the more you spiritually grow, the quicker you will deal with that issue, because you're not wanting to visually acknowledge, but you need to physically deal with that, or it won't leave you alone. Now, at times it will go and come, and usually you do need to protect yourself in a sense of sleep. When you do become fatigued, you are subject to energetic attacks. So I have actually had a time where, again, my bed was positioned incorrectly. My feet were facing out the door, and I had actually been physically ripped from the bed where half of me was off the bed. Now, I would have been about, I'd say 16. And again, I didn't talk about this until many, many years later, and I spoke about it with my sister, and she had mentioned that the same thing happened to her in the bedroom. Now, as a child in my room, I could actually visually see, because I moved between 2 rooms, and the house that we moved into, an old man had passed away in it, and I do feel he was quite cross that my energy was within that room. But obviously my door, my feet were facing out the door. Now this house was very haunted, and I feel there was more than one energy in it. One of them that was there was a couch in between these 2 rooms. So there was a man that would physically sit, and he would cross his legs and he would lean in and look at me. And for years I didn't know who he was, but I was absolutely petrified. And I would literally, my blanket, my feet would very much be covered, and I don't know why, but oh, what's that movie where they're getting their, you know, legs ripped off the bed? I mean, these movies that I've seen have been really challenging because it directly connects with situations I've, you know, experienced. So I have actually been pinned to the bed and frozen. I've had a time where I've been removed off the bed. I have had an out-of-body experience where I've physically been looking at myself, and that's happened twice. What else? Yeah, passed over spirits actually coming to my bedside to seek closure, but they will tag on to you. So when you have that element of a gift, you are going to need to keep your home as such very cleansed and very neutral. Now, I did speak about this previously. You will know the energy in the room, in the house directly, is going to be different, because what you'll notice in the house is that people will become agitated. There will be arguments. There will be maybe sickness. The energy as such will be low. It will start initially as slight agitation, maybe confusion. Then it can come about as fights, cross energy. Then it can be sickness as well, where people are getting sick and run down, and fatigue, you know, and even in general, just walking into a house and feeling like a heavy energy. The hue of the room will feel different as well. So you'll look at the room and it will feel off colour, so to speak, almost like misty or smoky. Smoky, I could best describe it as dull. And again, cleanse the house. You know, open the windows and curtains, you know, air the house out, then go about cleansing it. And definitely, you know, you could try the salt at the front door, and that prevents, you know, anyone who has evil intent connected to you to not remain in. But don't get super paranoid connected to it, because you can't bubble wrap yourself to the point where you physically can't experience it. If that's naturally what your soul path is as an indigo, and how big that gets to be, that's how it's going to be. And energies who are supposed to help you, people, will come into your life, and they will directly help either you or your children. But you physically having that aspect of knowing, you're changing the vibration of children, of indigos. So that helps that situation move through. You know, we all are like moving through a stage of awakening. So the way we perceive situations is going to be more open. So the way, obviously, the generation behind us and the one after that will be very different. Now that will actually impact union as well, connected to twins, because the learnings they have connected to you within their cycle, they will move forward with that much quicker. And energetically, they're doing that in a different formula. So don't try not to feel guilty connected to balancing of children in a connection of twin connections. And that's for anyone. That's for having them. If you don't have them yet, that's for your future, and how their sleeping patterns are going to change, and what they're going to experience through their life. Are there any questions while I tune into anything I may have forgotten? I know there's so much more, but I should write it down and then get back on her. But I will be doing readings for the indigo children. It'll be the males and the females of what they're experiencing. So if you do have children, and this is for any child, you know, if you do have a male or female child, this will be directly linked into what they're experiencing, why their energies are the way they are. Look at the masculine energy in it. Okay, Kendra, look at that, because that will help you understand what they're going through at the moment. Any other questions connected to indigos? it'll be their energies then. It doesn't matter how many children you have. Sometimes there will be a child that will be more energetic, more deep. You'll know when they're an indigo. The way they look at situations will be different. Sometimes it's like they're speaking to someone, and they are, but they look like they've lost their marbles. You'll know the difference. Generally speaking, we are more prejudice connected to what the 3D is than they are. Their minds have not been sort of put through a mincer. So what they see is what they see. And you need to try to not question them, but try to understand them and help them. So there will be things they see that you may not see. And definitely the gift I have is very different to the gift my daughter has. But she does absorb very well. And it's I'm really having to work with her on the vibrations she absorbs. She is a natural healer connected to very agitated people, but it's almost like she's owned their energy, and she needs to learn how to purge it out. So she's got to white light herself, and that can be, in a sense, if you have been around people that are negative, you are spiritually inclined, in a sense, you see things. My highest advice will be, if you feel an energy in the home, cleanse it. I mean, last night I was talking to a friend and I turned the TV off, and I had a pretty hectic week. So I've been having issues with my child, with toxic energies around her, and the TV started going on and off, and I knew there was an energy in the house, and it can be one of which have manifested, energetically speaking, or it can be a direct soul that has come in that is mucking with the frequency. So I cleansed the house and cleansed her as she was sleeping, and you just let go. You're aware, you're more in tune, so you follow the steps of what you're needing to do. But be aware and cleanse yourself, get adequate sleep. Your children will require it as well. Yeah, no. I think, look, I worked in the care field for 25 years, and the one thing I have noticed, obviously me being spiritual and psychic, you even as a person who's psychic, my mind is always growing and looking at things very differently. And sometimes the way I think something will be ends up being very different to the way it turns out being. As I said, astro traveling for me is more in my mind's eye. I physically do that in that shape and form. A while ago, I had written some premonitions I had on my Facebook page. And then I think by the third day, I had another experience, and I'd closed my eyes. And for the first time, I actually heard a fire brigade, and I thought, this is different. And, you kind of work with the energy of what's going on around you, because that's a changed gift. That's an evolving gift that kind of happens with me. It does evolve as it goes. And obviously, I am the most normal person out. Most people did not know I was psychic. I was very, I would work in the care field. My closest knew I had the element of the gift. But very much, I'm not the type of person that, if you come up and have a conversation with me, I'm going to tap into your head. It's not my style. It's also not professional in a sense. I do have my own life, and I'm not interested in what everybody's thinking. So the way you use it is, it energetically does deplete you. It does make you very tired when you're tuning, especially when you're doing like X amount a day, plus you're doing videos and you have your own life. It's not something that you go out intentionally to say, hey, I can actually read your mind. I'm deeply interested in what's going on in there. It's something you develop, and it's there as an aspect of yourself, like your nose and your sight. It's there. You may not use it all the time, that's all. And sometimes it will go to sleep, and sometimes it'll wake up. Now, in this situation I had when I closed my eyes, I heard a fire brigade. I also, when I closed my eyes, I wasn't even asleep. I literally could then see the fire brigade and the lights flashing, like I was standing at the location it was happening. And there was a woman screaming and a house on fire. And I opened my eyes and it stopped. And then I closed my eyes and it did it again. I did this 3 times, and I thought, do I write it on Facebook? And I went, nah. I said no. And I went, let's wait and see and test this. And I tried to pick where it was, and I was thinking America? No. USA? No. It's in Australia. And it was. There was a fire in Australia. So it comes and goes. It's nothing we can control as we work with it. But, you know, it comes and goes and it grows as it pleases when you're open. So yes, I can move forward, I can move back. I've dealt with people that are having spiritual attacks. You know, I can tune into that and tune into objects, photos, forward and backwards. I have worked with a couple of people connected to suspicious cases, which is very odd when I do that, which I should work with that more. But, you know, I've really wanted to, I guess, over the years, work on it to come to that place where it just goes, you know, it grows and it does its thing. So I'm trying not to control it. But this is, you guys will experience different things. You know, being twins, this is what you will go through. You will, but sometimes you'll question your sanity. You think, no. And no, not everyone will have it like me. Some of them will have it to the point it's much stronger than mine. Others will have slightness of it. You know, indigos will be more so. It'll be growing in trend. But you'll know the difference with your child. If you have a child, there will be one in particular which is energetically higher in level, almost like they're an old soul. Now, psychics recognize each other. So you may find if your child usually doesn't like other people, they vibrationally are seers, so it can be they're very reserved and very like standoffish, where they don't want to be around people. For me, when I have been around these children, it's like a soul recognition, and they find me very amusing because they look at my eyes and it's like we're almost having this telepathic conversation of, I know you can see. And they're all super nice to me. Yeah, very strange. Psychics recognise each other, that's what I'm trying to say, and so do indigo children, because they're spiritually advanced, so they will recognise and be okay with certain people, and you should really trust their gut connected to certain people. Being indigos, they vibrationally see through crap, so they're almost like a guard dog. They sense. It's great. Any questions? Don't even know the time, and I do have a reading at 1. But I thought I'd get on here and give you a hoy. So this is the information section of volume 1 of Indigos. I'll do some more research, and I'll come back and see anything relevant that I think I should be placing in these videos. I'm also going to be doing indigo children readings. So energies of what's happening around a male child or a female child, just in general, not their zodiac sign. Okay. You don't see the divine masculine as in your twin? Don't be, yeah, look. Like I said, I do spiritual readings and I do spiritual work on the website. So if you need to fine tune it or you need to work with the gift, if you can explain to me the situations that you're physically going through, I can help you through the experience I've had over the years of how to protect myself and the tools. It's too much to go into in one hit here, but, you know, I'll have to really write it down. But very much I find there are ways to work with it, but you need to protect yourself in a sense of being vibrationally ready. But we truthfully don't have an aspect of being able to turn it on and off. We really don't, because it'll rear its ugly head when it's ready and come back. So, yeah. You can use stones and crystals. Environmentally speaking, if you're tuning, always have a brick wall or something solid behind your back. I mean, I worked with a negative energy at one stage, and I was doing a reading for a lady via phone, and I was on a bush property, and she was dealing with some antique stones, that antique coins from the 1800s. 18? Yeah, I think so. Anyway, old coins, gold coins. And these were handed down to her son. And I'd never met this lady, but she'd been referred to me. She was a family friend. And when I was speaking to her, it was in the evening. Now, I tuned into the energy around these gold coins, and nothing much was said to me. And I explained to her the bedroom her son had been sleeping in, and she says, no, he's moved. I said, yes, but the energy where it all started was in your home. And she said, oh, that's correct. Now, it was a back outhouse section, and I tuned into the room and I said, look, energetically, he's had things thrown around the room. The items in the room have been moved around the room. And I said, you need to remove the coins and you need to take them away. And as I said that, I said, you need to cleanse the coins. It's like a handed down haunted gift. And it was an energy more that belonged to him. Now, generally speaking, when you're psychic, from memory of research, it's like a handed down gift. Now, there is also an aspect that there is a jinn that will follow you. Now, the jinn, it's a handed down gift, but you're also semi-haunted at the same time. So by you keeping your energy correct, you will need to get good sleep. You will need to be very grounded and safe in your energy, not up in your head or, you know, any of the rest of it, because you can suffer from energetic attacks. And in this situation, when I was doing this reading for the lady, the energy actually came through the phone and I felt it heavy on my back, and I said to her, it knows that we're working together. And it was very angry, very violent, and I'm even to this day cautious of that energy when I discuss that matter, because it was that heavy. I felt it on the property. I physically would not walk into the home where I was partnered with my child. I requested salt and smudge sticks, and I literally in the dark walked the entire property, and from the outside of the house cleansed it, cleansed myself, and did the inside of the house as well. That's how heavy that energy was. And she energetically had so much happen on her side. Both of us had to do the same thing energetically, and the coins had to be removed. But he had been suffering, and this thing had been kind of latched onto the coins and latched onto him being psychic, that stuck with him, and it would not matter where he moved. It was an energy that was around him that needed kind of getting rid of. Any questions? So there's much you don't know about me. Lots of twins are having connections to family and purging them. To protect your path, you do end up kind of removing yourself from entire situations if necessary. So, yes. Now, better check the time. Still got a bit of time. Who's calling me? Yeah. Oh, I might as well own my truth connected to it. I mean, when I was growing up, I very much, I didn't have anyone to talk to. This is crazy. I just agreed today to help a friend to remove an energy in her home. I've had an experience where I've gone into a home and get yourself very grounded. If you've been called to do it, energetically, universe believes you're prepared to do it. Sense it when you go there. If it can be done, do it. If it can't, remove and retreat. White light yourself. Obviously, have your tools, but have your faith in self. Sometimes you need to initially sense the energy first of what it actually is. For me, I came into a home. Sorry, you're ready for it. I went into a home, and this was a girlfriend who used to do tarot readings and Reiki sessions. So, Angela, if you're watching this video, big shout out. I know you're in New Zealand. I hope you're looking after yourself. Now, in this house, walking down the hall, it was very strange. You would walk down, and it was like your arm was being pulled and dragged. And, you know, just you're walking, and the temperature would change. It would be like warm, cold. Now, energetically, no one would go into this room. It was a very heavy room. None of the children would. And as I said, when you're a seer, your children are directly like that, and this was the same for her. Her gift was different. She used her hands as a healer. Over me, I guess my mind, I'm able to do Reiki to a degree. I'm not trained, although energetically I sense energy. So I can actually pinpoint where things are going on, so to speak. So I've walked down the hall, and I changed, the temperature would change. Also, when I went into the room, I felt a big energy of, oh my gosh, what am I really getting into here? It was a very, very heavy energy. Now, the way I dealt with it was confronting a fear, which then the realization that I was protected because I was energetically ready. I had to take that challenge because I'd been running from my gift for so long. Now, when I went into the room, I adjusted my energy and stood in the presence of the situation. The cupboard then opened, and there were some baby clothes in the cupboard, and they turned on a slant. They kept moving. Now, it stayed like that. And my friend said to me, "Did you just see that?" And I said, "Yes." And then the door closed and opened again. And I took a breath, and she said, "Are you ready for me to close the door?" And I thought, I was happy to swear. I was like, fucking joking. She closed the door, and I then tuned into the energy of what physically was there. Now, I could see a young child that was hiding under a table, and it was like, it doesn't necessarily have to be the physical home. It may be an energy that has latched onto the person and come into the home, and you're visually seeing where they were, but the spirit needs that kind of clearing, so to speak. So it doesn't have to be that it physically happened in the house. It can be that it's happened from external to the house, and somebody who has either been unwell has had the energy latch on and come into the home. Does that make sense? Does it make sense? I mean, life did not make sense to me growing up, but I'm hoping now I'm making sense. Okay. Yeah, so sometimes in understanding where that child's energy is, you can open the window and you can help release them. So it can be that you're physically feeling, go by your vibrations, intuitively speaking. So tune into it initially. You will know straight off the bat when you get to the house. You'll know the energy. And I feel your spiritual sense will kind of pick up on it. You know, if you have a very toxic, ill feeling, you need to walk in very carefully. White light yourself, you know, have your tools on hand. But energetically tap into it. Don't act. Tap into it. Sense it. Then you use your intuition connected to how you're going to directly deal with it. If it feels too energetic, you need to go away, think about it, and go back to the problem again. Don't try and intervene if you don't energetically feel that you're ready to deal with that. That's okay. Yes, like sage does work, but energetically when you have dark energies, no. It's a combination of tools that will help with that. Yeah. And again, it does depend on your channeling abilities and your strength to actually remove it. But it depends on what it is. Yeah, I feel a bit of mixed feelings about that house at the minute. Your mind, your technique, your ability to actually release the energy, you stating will set you free. This can be an energy you pick up in the room. It can be that you choose to use holy water. It can be simply smudge. It can be a physical prayer you choose to make up in your mind to release that soul. But you're going to need to tap into what's going on. I mean, feel free to email me and I'll tune into it. But yeah, you go first because I feel your energy has been called to this. So I feel you'll follow your intuition connected to it. Yeah, well, sage does work, but then get holy water because that's what I'm picking. Yeah. Has anyone energetically been unwell in the house? Has there been an environment of toxicity or a female's behaviour I'm seeing? Is there a female's behaviour connected to it that is off balance? Okay, what has been going on with this female? Has she been energetically agitated or has she been Okay, now is this sick connected to a habit, or is this sick connected to a sudden illness? Yeah, it's latched onto her. She needs to look around at something that maybe was handed down to her. Yeah, it's the energy. See, a lot of us do at the 3D sort of go, oh, we've got sick. Now again, look at your chakras. Why? Is there a block? Work on that. That's spiritual. You know, yes, obviously medical, not a doctor. I'm not talking about that aspect. Other triggers can come through from the chakras. Now, energetically, I feel her energy was down, and I feel this has been triggered because something has actually latched onto her and come in. Now, this can come about in many ways. It can be a physical gift, an item in the bedroom. You need to ask her what she has received from the time she started becoming unwell. Look at my daughter. Bloody sticky beak. Was there something that she was given? Is it a new thing? Because this feels like a very heavy energy. I don't know why. I'm almost being shown her bed being a direct issue. Check the positioning of the room, i.e. indigo children, you know, how it's positioned. If she's got a mirror, get the mirror out. But be careful touching the things in the room. If you feel energetically, don't touch.
Sorry.
I'm actually doing something. Do you have to interrupt? If you feel energetically, don't touch it, don't touch it. Because it won't be pretty. Okay, how has she positioned her bedroom?
I'm sorry.
This one's going to be sorry in a minute.
I'm hungry.
She can remove them. Yeah, Jen said hello.
Hi, can I have chocolate?
I'm dealing with someone at the moment. You can wait. Okay, now ask her some questions first. You'll sense it directly linked to items. You'll feel a vibration connected to items. Also, you will feel, I don't know why, I keep seeing a mirror, and I don't know whether she physically owns a mirror, but this feels like an antique. I'm seeing an antique. So have a look in a room. I don't know if it's directly linked to her bedroom or connected to a time this energy was handed down to her. But I'm feeling the room has changed, and it's an item in the room I'm seeing. So go and have a look. I mean, feel free. You can message me after, either on this video and I'll have a look, or you can message me at my website or email. And if you need a hand, I'll give you a hand. No drama. Have fun with that. White light yourself. Almost makes you feel like you're going in like Ghostbusters, doesn't it? It doesn't feel like that when you're dealing with it, trust me. How to ground an 8-year-old every day. I will be doing connections to the indigo children. I'll try and do that come Tuesday. I may have time today. I'll see how I go. But what I'm picking is, write down under here what you're experiencing, what the trigger is, and I'll tune into it, because I've just been drawn to really do some videos connected to the children, because they're, look, energetically, how can we keep going if we're always concerned about that element and really not understanding the perception of what's physically going on with the child or children. It may be that they're energetically sensing things, and again, go back to the beginning of the video if you missed it. Because there could be relevant information in there connected to the bedroom, connected to communication, but just write in there, yeah, but just write in there what it is. I missed what you wrote then. Any other questions? Okay, a little freaked out, but I do believe it's part of my... Yeah, it is. Yeah. These things come to us for a reason, and they are to say from universe, hey, you're actually ready for it. So, ha-ha sort of thing is like, really? I don't want to do this. Yeah, you have to. You can't hide from it. It's there. Like, when it's there, it's there. Miscarriage and indigos. Again, base chakra. Sometimes from an emotional point of view, you know, we can actually have miscarriages, if that's what you're asking. Most welcome. Any other questions connected to indigos? What directly are you worried about with your indigo? You spiritually will see a difference in the child. They may be quieter. They might be moody at times. The way they sleep can be triggered. You need to teach them tools in order to communicate, and you can directly link back to the masculine and feminine videos, and that will have a cue because they will physically mirror you as a masculine or feminine. So their energies can be very much feeling that change is coming right now. That is really what the children are sensing. Change is happening and they're trying to catch up with it. So their adjustment factor this month is very troubled. It's very up and down. So their energy is going to be up and down environmentally speaking. That's both masculine and feminine children. Very worn out as well and very confused. So let them feel and be in that emotion. It can be that you use stones to actually, you know, do energy work with them. But as I said, I will be doing, you know, kind of like videos connected to chakra tools, you know, how to... You had a miscarriage and you visually saw your child through astro travel. Yes, that's possible. It can be that the soul of the child may return, and that is the confirmation that the child is choosing to say they're okay or they're returning to you at the correct time. I had an angry twin come through the other day. They said they were going to be reincarnated. That was interesting. Yeah, it's your child's way of saying that they are okay, but they're going to come back. And it's the unfinished business. Yeah. Okay. Indigo children's energy. Let's see what's going on. That'll be right. In general, male and female, okay? Okay, they're not being as independent as they need to be, so it may be in certain levels you're going to need to, this week, come to a place where you're physically letting them take their power back because you're enabling them in some way. It might be that you're protecting them due to what you're currently going through, and you're thinking, oh, I need to protect them. Sometimes you can't. You need to let them work with that energy so that they can actually start gaining their power back. Now, they're not having quiet time. It's neither here nor there. They're very up and down. They're very back and forward. Let them go through that energy. The reason they're doing that is because energetically of what you're physically going through. But it's because they're readjusting. January was a very interesting energy. In February, like January, it was almost like we were, I mentioned this to a client, like we were thrown in a desert, we were told something was coming, and we were looking at what direction it was coming from. And that's very much what your children or indigos would have been sensing. It's like, well, they aren't at that level where they can be, but you need to look at their life and see where they can have that ability to actually do what they're needing to do. And also, because they're feeling that vibration, it might be they go from not going to sleep early enough to sleeping too early. So it's because they're readjusting to that frequency. They don't also trust their intuition at the moment because of a trigger that's come about. But again, that will be purged. That will be directly dealt with. They are having an awakening, and definitely indigo children are going to awake more than what twins had, quicker. Definitely because they have you in their life if you're a physical parent, or you as a soul being around energetically working directly with children. They also feel that some situation isn't as perfect as it needs to be, but they're learning to adjust to the fact that life isn't perfect. Yeah, that's interesting, old school desk. Do you know, maybe you energetically were supposed to come towards me. Because I had a premonition about an old school desk. Now, was this the wooden one? Are we talking like a real... Okay. Now, I don't know if I should actually... I don't think my twin would like it if I revealed this. I haven't even revealed this premonition to him. Anyway, I will tell you that we were meant to meet because I had a premonition about an old school desk. And if the confirmation of what I've visually seen within this premonition comes through, I will happily tell you. So stay tuned, and I will mention your name, and it will be directly directed at you as a thank you. Now, the old school desk may be that she needs to actually purge an aspect of childhood. Okay? Something has happened to her in her childhood I'm tuning into. And that's triggered her. Was it directly from a direct person this item came from? Okay, back to the indigo children. Finances are impacting them as well. But that's not directly from you not letting them have pocket money. It's because of something you guys are currently dealing with. It might be that you're working too much. So, you know, it can be working on self. It doesn't have to be at a financial level. Maybe we will have to have another private one, freebie. Okay, so they're getting triggered by money, but not naturally the way you think. It's because something's transpiring. So the way they're viewing life is that they're realizing they're having a change of frequency. Well, we can probably do another one. Back to the reading. They're changing frequency, so they're basically readjusting to a fact that life is not just about the 3D of cash, of location, of status, and the adjustment for them is changing. Okay, they're not being honest with themselves about something, yet they're projecting out at you, and it's connected to a change. They are going to make new friends. They're scared they're not going to, but they will. Okay. They're going to come back into their own. So this whole transition, what they're physically going through is going to change the environment. So maybe their environment's currently changing. Okay, they need to get away from toxicity. This can be in general, if they're doing something silly, as well as people around them that are having negative energies because they're absorbing it like an empath. Okay, they don't know yet how to use their power, and this is triggering them. And they're not speaking about it either. Some of them might be trying to remove themselves from school and education and avoidance because they're purging. Okay, they don't know that they can actually visually see things, so they're not paying attention to their dreams in a sense that they actually can see the future. And they're not giving themselves a rest where they physically need to. They need to rest and recoup. They're energetically exhausted. And they need to ground themselves and read. And sometimes I'm feeling this is them not realizing that in order for them to heal, they need to write. In order to describe and express and be creative, connected to what they are. Any questions? Because I must go. I do have a reading. That was big. I couldn't read. All indigo children, yes. I will be doing a separate video. I'll see how often I can. When I'm guided to do it, I will chuck indigo videos up. But I'll also do an energy for the male indigos and the female indigos. But at the moment, as a whole, this is what they're physically feeling. They're getting a bit agitated. So if you're dealing with a child and you're thinking, gosh, you know, what's going on, realize that your environment is going to directly impact your twin flame path. It's not just you know, you physically. Some of you do have children, some of you don't. Some of you wonder, are you going to have children? You know, and you will have premonitions as twins. You may very well have kind of premonitions connected to what your child or children will be, what your twin will be. More than likely. Any questions connected to indigos? Any confusion connected to indigos? I have actually mentioned to my daughter that we will be doing some workshops on her, and that's so you guys can understand the element from the child's perspective. Seeing as she loves the spotlight so much, she's probably watching this right now. Any questions? That was quick. No questions? Okay, after the video, if you wish to, if you have any questions after, and for those of you who are new, welcome. For those of you who have been followers for the last, I don't know, year and a bit, thank you. If you want to get updates on it and there's anything you want me to tune into or any subject you wish me to tune into, just chuck it at the bottom and, you know, I can tune into it and I'll do some videos around it. Obviously, the thing I had mentioned on the twin flame questions and answers connected to videos I'm going to be doing, they will be at the element of quick snippet videos connected to energies I'm feeling, things I'm guided to do. As for the idea I had connected to the support forum for twins that are, you know, dealing, they might be you're having a rough week. I'm trying to connect something onto my website so, you know, I can kind of pencil in a time in the day where it can be a 1 hour session a day, where if you're needing that support and you're purging and dealing at emotional level, we can have group conference calls. So it would be a set fee to be able to do that, and it might be that you're going through a 1 month, you know, heavy shift. So that was more, you know, something connected to that. I'm still working at that. I don't have time at the minute to do that, but that will be something that I will be physically offering to give that support, you know, and the mentorship connected to twins moving through that transition. Okay, the headaches is because you are awakening, also because your masculine's energy is being received and you're sensing some sense of confusion and thought of what is going on. And it might be, and this is an aspect of the death of the ego, because when we're physically thinking it instead of vibrationally doing it, what happens is you get so exhausted to the point your ego has nothing to do with it then. It's physically a transition. So with that comes the death of the ego, because you're that exhausted, you're releasing it. And it's a bit like when you're sick. You physically have no solution, so you focus very much on what you're requiring, what the reality is. So sometimes when we have emotional blocks, the ego is directly involved. So it's blocking us actually finding a solution. So by sleeping, the body has to shut down and hit rock bottom to a point where it releases it, and then a universe forces your hand, male or female, or you do what you know is truthfully realistic because you're too tired to manifest and concoct some sort of scenario to get yourself out of a situation easier or avoid it in any shape or form. I really need to get more sleep. But the headaches, yeah, you'll be picking up on your energies of your twin, because the masculines are very much concentrating. No drama. Any other questions? Vertigo. Yes, I've been experiencing that, I must say. I don't know. That's strange. I was trying to work it out. Again, I do feel it's connected to an awakening process and an aspect of a block. It's like energy's going up and down. I can, but I need to see if it comes through yet. Okay, sometimes in a premonition what happens is you'll see aspects inside that premonition. I think I told you about the premonition. I'm pretty sure I did privately tell you about the premonition. Usually you will notice a key item inside a repetitious dream. Now inside this repetitious dream, I would see this wood desk. Now in this, and it was strange because, you know, for many years I would never see this wood desk. Now, as a child, in New Zealand, we would have the open drawer wood desks. So, and this desk directly was, to me, something of an aspect of the premonition. It was inside the premonition. Yeah, you're realigning. You're having an awakening. You're fine-tuning. You're going to get downloads and information, and your frequency is being corrected for a next stage. I've even got it now. Okay, so in this premonition, there were 2 children. I was on the outside of the dream. My twin was on the inside of the dream. One of the children I knew was directly related to twin, but not directly, like indirectly sort of thing. The other child I knew was my child, and that's all I know. And it's not one I physically have right now. So interesting. So I had always had a premonition, which was my daughter, and I had that premonition when I was 12. And I was told I couldn't have children. And I was in Trafalgar Square in this premonition in London, and I saw the big black cat, and a little girl came down and she was playing with my hair. And I mean, years ago my hair was really curly and my dad would brush it, and it would really hurt, so I would get very cross at him. So I hate my daughter mucking with my hair. I think that's the connection inside the dream. So this young girl comes walking down looking like Shirley Temple, and she was playing with my hair on this side. And I think the connection inside that dream was aspects will be relevant to deciphering a code, so to speak. Now, the Leo in it was the DNA of father. He was a Leo. He was also English, a background of English, and so am I, through my grandmother. Also, she had curly hair, and I did have a daughter, so it was strange. And I think about 3 weeks before I gave birth to her, I didn't know that I was having a daughter. I didn't check the sex. And my partner at the time gave me a doll that had Shirley Temple hair. And she looked like Shirley Temple. It was strange. Initially when she was born she didn't, but weeks after her hair started growing it was ringlets. So I had a premonition of my daughter at the age of 12. So I think it's connected to a time frame. Sometimes when you're tuning in energetically to a person or a situation, you can be receiving a headache from the person that's unwell. Or it can be in general being a twin, because we're getting a download, we're actually realigning and being recorrected, so to speak. Like even my eye hair's been quite lazy today. It's like we're being fine-tuned. So it might be things come at left field that we're purging things, and it's like, I just feel we're being realigned in frequency. But you can directly actually receive headaches from, you know, locations and places of people that you're about to read. That did happen to me the other day when I was doing some of the zodiacs. It was like I started getting a headache, and I was like, seriously? Someone on here has a headache? And then this emergency booking I had, the lady had a headache for 2 days, so I was picking up on her energy. So I asked her to take Panadol very kindly, because I was sick of holding this headache. Okay, I must go because I do have another booking. I've had a break. Not really. Have fun with clearing that house and clearing her. Thank you. I will speak to you all soon. Take care. I'll tell you if the premonition comes through anyway. So the wood desk is probably linked to divine timing. Beauty. Bye.